You finally brought home a beautiful hydrangea. You found a spot, you dug a hole, and you planted it. And without ever knowing it, you may have just made the mistake that dooms that plant before it ever had a single chance. Here is what almost nobody tells you. Most of the hydrangea problems people fight for years. The scorched brown leaves, the plant that grows but never blooms, the one that slowly fades and dies, do not start with bad luck or a brown thumb. They start on planting day, in the first 10 minutes, with small decisions that are almost impossible to undo later. And that is the hard part. You can do everything right afterward. Water it perfectly, feed it, prune it at exactly the right time, and still lose the plant, because the real mistake was baked in at the very beginning, the day you put it in the ground. There are 6 of these planting mistakes, and every single one of them is the kind of thing that feels perfectly reasonable, even smart, while you are doing it. That is what makes them so common. But here is the good news. If you are about to plant a hydrangea, or you planted one recently and it is already struggling, you can get every one of these right. And a hydrangea that is planted correctly from day one is one of the toughest, most generous, most rewarding shrubs you will ever grow. It will bloom for you for decades with almost no fuss. By the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to plant a hydrangea so that it thrives, not just survives. The right spot, the right depth, the right hole, the right spacing, the right time of year, all of it spelled right out. Not vague advice. The actual method that decides whether this plant rewards you for 20 years or breaks your heart in two. But before you put a single hydrangea in the ground, you have to know one thing about it, and it changes almost everything that follows. Let me show you what it is. Here is the one thing you have to know before you plant. What type of hydrangea is it? Because the single biggest planting decision of all, where it goes, completely flips depending on the answer. Here is the split that matters. Most hydrangeas, the classic big leaf mop heads and lace caps, the oak leaf types, and the smooth types like Annabelle, want morning sun and afternoon shade. Put them in hot, full afternoon sun, and they struggle, they scorch, they wilt. But there is one big exception. The panicle types, the ones with the cone-shaped flower heads like the popular limelight, genuinely love full sun. They want it. They bloom better with it. So plant it in the sun or plant it in the shade is the wrong question entirely until you know which type you are holding. Get that backwards, and you have put the right plant in exactly the wrong place. So the very first thing to do is check the plant tag. 2 things on it matter most: the species, which tells you how much sun it wants, and the mature size, which is going to decide how far apart you space them, and that is a mistake we will get to later. So, do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me which type you are planting and what state you are watching from. Because your climate decides how much sun is too much, and when in the year you should actually plant. The warmer your region, the more afternoon shade even a sun-tolerant hydrangea is going to want. And I will keep coming back to that as we go. Now, with that settled, here is mistake number 1, and it is the one you really cannot take back. Mistake number 1. Planting it in the wrong spot. And this is the one I want you to get right more than any other on this entire list. Because once a hydrangea is established in the ground, moving it is hard, it is stressful, and sometimes it is fatal. You really do only get one good shot at this. Here is the mistake. You grab the brightest, sunniest spot in the yard, because more sun has to mean more flowers, right? For most hydrangeas, that is exactly backwards. Here is the biology. Those big leaf, oak leaf, and smooth hydrangeas have big, thin leaves, and a shallow root system. In hot afternoon sun, those big leaves lose water faster than the shallow roots can possibly pull it up. So the leaf edges scorch brown and crispy. The whole plant wilts every single afternoon, and it spends its life struggling instead of thriving. Remember, these plants evolved on the floor of a forest, getting gentle morning light and shelter from the brutal afternoon sun. So here is the right spot. Morning sun, afternoon shade. Roughly 4 to 6 hours of sun a day, with the hottest part of the afternoon shaded. And avoid that brutal west-facing wall that bakes all evening. Now, the exception that makes everything easier. If the only good open spot you have is genuinely sunny, that is exactly where a panicle hydrangea belongs, because it actually wants that sun. So match the plant to the spot you have. Do not fight it. And dial it to your region. The farther south you garden, the more afternoon shade even a tougher hydrangea needs. In the hot south, aim for just 2 to 3 hours of gentle morning sun, then shade the rest of the day. The farther north you are, the more sun it can comfortably take. One more thing. Look up and look around before you dig. Do not cram it tight against a hot south-facing wall, or right under a roof line where water sheets off, or where a big tree's roots will steal every drop of water from it. The fix is simple. Pick the spot for the type and for your climate before you ever pick up the shovel. And here is the bonus. Get the location right, and you have just quietly prevented half the problems in every other hydrangea video out there. The scorch, the daily wilting, the plant that won't bloom because it is buried in deep shade. All decided right here. Now, once you have chosen that perfect spot, the next mistake is about when you put it in the ground. And the calendar matters more than you would think. Mistake number 2. Planting at the wrong time of year. You got excited. You bought your hydrangea on a hot July afternoon, brought it home, and put it straight in the ground that same day. And you may have set it up for a brutal, stressful start it never quite recovers from. Here is the mistake. Planting in the heat of summer, which is the single hardest time for a new plant to get established. Here is the biology. A newly planted hydrangea has to grow new roots out into the surrounding soil before it can support itself. That takes time. Now plant it into hot, dry summer soil, and it is trying to grow those new roots while the heat is pulling water out of those big leaves faster than the tiny, undeveloped root system can ever replace it. The result is severe transplant shock. That dramatic wilting, the browning leaves, and sometimes the death of a plant that simply could not keep up with the demand. So here is the right timing. Plant in early spring or in fall, when the weather is cool and the soil is moist. That way the plant can spend its energy growing roots and settling in before it ever has to face real heat. Fall is especially good because the roots keep growing in the still warm soil even while the top of the plant goes dormant, giving it a real head start for spring. Now, a nuance that matters. A container-grown hydrangea, the kind in a pot from the nursery, is more forgiving and can go in through the growing season if you really must. But a bare root hydrangea has to go in during early to mid-spring. No exceptions there. So here is the fix. If it is the middle of a hot summer right now, the best move is often to keep that plant well watered in its pot, sitting in a shaded spot, and simply wait for the cool of fall to plant it, and dial it to your region. In the cold north, that means spring after the last frost, or early fall. In the hot south, fall is very often the safest planting window of the whole year. And if you already planted in summer, do not panic. Just baby it with consistent water and some afternoon shade through the heat, and most will pull through. The bonus is real. A hydrangea planted in cool weather establishes so much faster that it is often blooming beautifully. while a summer-planted one is still just fighting to survive. Okay, right spot, right season. Now you are actually digging the hole. And this is where mistake number 3 lives. It is the most common planting mistake of them all. Mistake number 3, planting it too deep. This is the one that experts call the most common planting mistake there is for almost any shrub. And it is so easy to make because deeper just feels safer, more secure, more protected. With a hydrangea, deeper can be deadly. Here is the mistake. You dig the hole a little too deep, you drop the plant in, and you backfill, and the soil ends up covering the crown of the plant. The crown is that critical spot where the stems meet the roots. It is the heart of the whole plant. Here is the biology. Bury that crown under soil, and you trap moisture against it constantly. And constant wet against the crown invites stem rot and fungal disease. The plant slowly decays from the middle outward. Growth stalls, the blooms disappear, and it can quietly die on you, with no obvious cause. Horticulturists call burying the crown a silent killer of more plants than people can imagine. So here is the rule, and it is exact. The top of the root ball should sit level with the surrounding soil, or even an inch or two above it, never below. In heavy clay especially, set it a little high and slope the soil up to meet it, because too shallow is far, far safer than too deep. Here is how you get it right every time. Before you even take the plant out of its pot, measure. The hole should be only as deep as the root ball is tall, no deeper, so the plant rests on solid, undug ground at the bottom and cannot sink. Set it in, then lay a stick or your shovel handle flat across the top of the hole and check that the top of the root ball sits right at, or just above, that line. And here is the trap that catches careful people. They dig the hole too deep, then loosen the soil at the bottom to be helpful, and over the next few weeks, the plant slowly settles down into that loose soil until the crown is buried. Resting the plant on firm, undug ground is exactly what stops that sinking. And the rescue. If you already have a hydrangea that is struggling, go look at its base. If you see soil mounded over the crown or covering the lower stems, gently pull that soil back to expose the crown. Do it in spring or fall, and give it time. Get the depth right, and you have eliminated one of the most common slow killers of hydrangeas in a single motion. And depth is only half of it, because the shape of that hole matters just as much. That is mistake number 4. Mistake number 4. Digging the wrong shape of hole and then filling it back in with the wrong thing. Most people dig a hole that is deep and narrow, like a bucket, and then they fill it back in with rich, fluffy, bagged potting soil to be kind to the new plant. Both of those instincts work directly against you. Let's take the shape first. A hydrangea's roots want to spread outward, wide and shallow, not straight down. A deep, narrow hole gives those roots nowhere to go but around in circles. A wide, shallow hole lets them spread out into loosened soil and establish fast. So here is the rule, and it is exact. Dig the hole 2 to 3 times as wide as the root ball, but only as deep as the root ball is tall. Width matters far more than depth here, and rough up the soil on the sides of the hole so the roots can push out into it easily instead of hitting a smooth, packed wall. Now the second half, and this is the truly counterintuitive one. If you dig a hole in heavy clay and you backfill it with pure rich potting soil or compost, you have just built a bathtub. Water flows into that nice, loose soil, hits the dense clay walls all around it, and has nowhere to drain. So it pools right there, around the roots, and rots them. And there is a second problem. That rich, cushy soil is so comfortable that the roots never bother to venture out into the native soil they have to live in long term. They just circle in the bathtub. So here is the fix. Backfill, mostly with the native soil you dug out of the hole. Mix in only a moderate amount of compost or organic matter, roughly 70% native soil to 30% compost, or even more native than that. That way, the transition from the hole to the surrounding ground is gradual, and water actually moves through it. And one root step that goes right along with this. Before you plant, look at the root ball. If the roots are circling around it tightly, that is a pot-bound plant. Gently tease those circling roots apart with your fingers, or make a few shallow vertical cuts down the sides so they grow outward instead of strangling themselves in a knot. The bonus: a wide, shallow hole backfilled with native soil gives those roots every reason to spread out and anchor deep and wide, and that is exactly what makes a hydrangea tough, stable, and drought-resilient for decades. Now, all of that, the wide hole, the native soil, it is really pointing at the one thing a hydrangea cares about more than almost anything else: drainage. And that is mistake number 5. Mistake number 5, ignoring drainage. And this is the silent killer, the one that does not show up until your hydrangea is already in serious, often unrecoverable trouble. Because here is the thing about hydrangeas: they love water, but they absolutely cannot stand wet feet. Here is the mistake: planting in a low, boggy spot where water collects after rain, or planting in heavy clay you never actually checked, so the soil stays soggy for days after every storm. Here is the biology. Roots need air just as much as they need water. In constantly waterlogged soil, every one of those tiny air pockets fills with water, and the roots simply cannot breathe. They suffocate, and they die. And then root rot, a fungal disease, moves into that dead, soggy tissue and finishes the plant off. And here is the cruel part. Up top, the plant yellows and wilts, looking for all the world like it is thirsty, even though the soil is soaking wet. So people see the wilt and water it more and drive the final nail in. So here is the test, and you do this before you ever plant. Dig your planting hole, fill it all the way up with water, and let it drain completely. Then fill it a second time. That second fill should drain away within about 2 hours. If water is still sitting in the bottom of that hole hours later, you have a drainage problem, and you must fix it before the plant goes in. Here are the fixes. Amend the whole area generously with organic matter, compost, aged manure, shredded leaves, to open that heavy soil up. Or for genuinely poor draining clay, do not fight it. Plant high. Build a raised bed or a broad mound and set the hydrangea up above the waterlogged zone so excess water drains down and away from the crown and the roots. And here is the honest part. This is not optional for any type. Even the toughest panicle hydrangea, the sun lover, will suffer and rot in standing water. Every single hydrangea needs this, and the rescue. If you have got a hydrangea already sitting in soggy ground, you may genuinely need to lift it and replant it higher, in a mound or a raised bed. Do that in spring or fall, when the plant can handle the move. Quick one, because we are talking about root rot, and that is exactly where this comes in. If you ever do catch a plant in the early stages of root rot, a properly diluted hydrogen peroxide root soak is one real, limited tool for it. And a dilute rinse keeps your planting tools clean as you move from plant to plant. Everything I know about that one humble brown bottle, the genuine garden uses, the exact dilution for each one, and just as importantly, the things it will not do, so you do not kill a plant trying, is collected in one place. It is the Hydrogen Peroxide Playbook. All 31 garden uses, the exact dilution for each so you are never guessing, sourced from real horticulture, not the usual internet myths, with a clip and pin chart for your shed wall. 25 pages, $27, link in the description. Now stay with me, because there is one more planting mistake. And it is the one people make most often of all, especially when they are planting more than one. Mistake number 6, planting them too close together or too close to the house. And this is the one I see most often of all. Because that little hydrangea in the pot looks so small, so innocent, so manageable. And it is so tempting to tuck it right up against the wall, or to plant a tidy little row of them just a couple of feet apart. Here is the mistake. Spacing based on how the plant looks today, instead of how big it is going to be in a few years. That 1-gallon shrub that fits in your 2 hands can become 5 or 6 feet wide, sometimes more. Here is the biology of crowding. Plant them too close, and as they mature, those plants fight each other for light, for water, for nutrients. So not one of them ever truly thrives. And worse, all that packed, crowded foliage traps humid air and stops it from moving through. And trapped, stagnant humidity is an open invitation to exactly the fungal diseases hydrangeas are prone to. The research is clear on this. Denser plantings mean more disease. So here is the rule. And it is exact. Check the plant tag for the mature width. Then space your hydrangeas so that their mature canopies will just barely touch. The common guideline is to leave about a 1-foot buffer around the mature width. So a hydrangea that will be 5 feet wide at maturity goes about 6 feet from its neighbor. If you are planting a hedge and you want them to grow into a solid wall, you can go a little tighter. But never as tight as they look like they need on planting day. And there is the structure half of this. Keep them well clear of the house, the foundation, a fence, or a shed. Partly so the mature plant is not crammed against the wall, choking off its own airflow. And partly so it is not sitting in that hot, dry, rain-shadowed strip right up against the bricks, where it bakes and never gets rain. Now the honest part. It always looks too far apart on planting day, and it always looks just right in 3 years. Trust the spacing. Do not trust your eyes today. The bonus. Properly spaced hydrangeas get the airflow that keeps them disease-free, and the room to grow into that full, rounded, beautiful shape that made you want one in the first place. So you have got the spot, the season, the depth, the hole, the drainage, and the spacing. There is one last thing to do the moment it is in the ground, and then I will pull it all together. Before we pull this together, the one thing to do the moment your hydrangea is in the ground: water it in properly. Once it is planted at the right depth, build a small ring or berm of soil around the edge of the root zone, like a little dam, to hold water in place. Then water deeply and slowly to settle the soil and collapse any air pockets hiding around the roots. Then lay down 2 to 3 inches of mulch over the root zone, shredded bark, pine needles, or compost. But pull that mulch back a few inches from the crown and the stems, so you are holding moisture and keeping the roots cool without trapping wet against the crown, which is that exact same rot risk from mistake number 3. And then water consistently through that entire first growing season, because a brand new hydrangea has no established roots yet, and it simply cannot fend for itself. Now, before the summary, do one thing for me. Think of one person who is about to plant a hydrangea, or who just lost one and cannot figure out why. Send them this video before they dig. It might save them years of frustration and a plant they love. Now, let me pull all 6 together, because they are not really 6 random rules. They are 3 planting principles. Put it in the right place, the right spot for the type, in the right season. Plant it the right way, with the crown at or above the soil, in a wide, shallow hole of native soil. And give the roots what they need: drainage, space, and a deep watering in. Get those 3 right on day 1, and you have done the hard part. Because almost every hydrangea problem people fight for years afterward was actually decided right here, at planting. The 10 minutes you spend getting this right saves you years of heartbreak later. A hydrangea planted correctly is tough, generous, and will bloom for you for decades, with almost no fuss at all. And listen, if you are in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, a hydrangea is a long-term gift to your own yard. The big mophead by the porch you will watch bloom every single summer. The shrub that will outlive the planting of it. Maybe the one your grandkids will remember from your garden one day. Plant it right once, and it rewards you for 20 years. So if this helped you plant with confidence, subscribe and stick around. We do this the honest way here in the Forgotten Knowledge Library. Real horticulture, exact amounts, and we tell you straight when something is just a myth. Next time, another forgotten job that everyone gets wrong. What actually works and what people swear by that simply does not. So before you dig that hole, get these 6 right and give your hydrangea the start it truly deserves. I will see you in the next one.